All right, we're running a little behind today, just 2 minutes, but we're going to go ahead and get this started. Call the meeting to order at 2:32. I'll go ahead and read the statement of powers. The Augusta Board of Zoning Appeals hears and makes decisions on applications for variances in accordance with the powers granted under Section 1-4-88 of Augusta, Georgia Code. The applicant must provide any scaled drawings or plot plans, including all dimensions, pictures, or any other supporting information at this meeting. Only information presented at this meeting may be used in any future hearings regarding this petition. Any person affected by the board's decision may file an appeal with the Superior Court of Richmond County, Georgia, within 30 days of the decision of this board. The meeting will be conducted in accordance with the board's bylaws and rules of procedure and the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order, unless otherwise directed by a majority of the board in session at that time. A minimum of 10 minutes shall be afforded for the presentation of data, evidence, and opinions on each side of a petition. If more than 10 minutes is afforded to one side, then an equal amount of time shall be afforded to the other side. The board encourages participation in this hearing, and there is no restriction on whom may address the board within the allotted time. But the board does ask that all public comments be brief, on subject, and directed to the board and not any individual or group. If this board would take a moment to review the minutes that came in your packet, and then I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I make a motion to approve our minutes from our last meeting.
We have a motion and a second, and that would be from Ms. Williams and Mr. Forrest. All in favor by show of hands? Any opposed? Seeing none.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to move item 2, BZA 25-22, to the back of the agenda.
Can we get a second on that, anybody?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of moving that one to the end? Show of hands. Any opposed? All right, we'll move that one to the end. That means we will start with BZA 2523, and we'll go ahead and take presentation from staff.
All right. I got you. Good afternoon. The first item for consideration is BZA 2523. This is a petition by Kimberly Horn on behalf of Eden Loft Estate, LLC, requesting a variance from sections 8-1-44H of the flood prevention ordinance to allow for excavation and fill material to be placed in a special flood hazard area, on a property located at 1475 Doug Bernard Parkway. The property is zoned HI, and Brian will present.
Brian Kepner, zoning administrator. As Kevin stated, the request is for a variance from the flood damage prevention ordinance to allow fill material to be placed in the special flood hazard area. The proposal is to place approximately 40,000 cubic yards of fill dirt to be brought into the special flood hazard area. This variance involves a 65.58 acre parcel located at 1475 Doug Bernard Parkway at the intersection with Dan Bowles Road. The proposed redevelopment of the property includes a 169,143 square foot industrial facility for distribution, warehousing, and offices, to accessory buildings of 52,000 square feet and 1,600 square feet to analyze vehicle damage and repair, plus a 1,500 square foot pump house. The applicant seeks a variance from the special flood hazard area, as stated, 40,000 cubic yards of fill material to be placed within the special flood hazard area for the proposed business operations on the property. 17.81 acres of the 65.68 acre property is located within zones AE and zone X of the special flood hazard area. The base flood elevation has been determined for the property at 127.65 feet above average mean sea level. The proposed development extends to bring in approximately 401,000 cubic yards of fill material for improvements on the entire property. Of that 401,000 cubic yards of fill material, 40,000 cubic yards, will be placed within the special flood hazard area. The topography of the property ranges from 120 to 144 feet above average mean sea level. Currently on the property, there is a 4,462 square foot brick and metal building with small brick shed, covered diesel pumps, and a holding tank. Section 8-1-44H8 of the Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance states no fill material may be permitted to be transported into the special flood hazard area. The applicant has provided a no-rise certification stating that the proposed improvements will not impact the 100-year flood elevation, the 100-year floodway elevation, and the floodway widths, including the supporting, and they have attached those supporting calculations. Section 8-1-32E of the Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance states that the Board of Zoning Appeals shall consider the following items when considering a variance application. There's 11 of them. Danger that the material may be swept into other lands to injure others. Fill material will be compact and sodded with buildings within the facility being required to be 3 feet above the determined base flood elevation, so it is anticipated that there will be minimum material being swept away. Number 2, the danger of life and property due to flooding and erosion damage. The proposed development will provide extra capacity for stormwater detention, thereby reducing danger to life and property. Number 3, susceptibility of the proposed facility and its contents to flood damage and effect of such damage on the individual owner. The facility's finished flow elevations will be required to be 3 feet above the determined base flood elevation, along with extra capacity within the stormwater detention areas, and it's anticipated that this would be minimum damage. There would be minimum damage. Number 4, importance of the service provided by the proposed facility to the community. Industrial uses create jobs and services are always a priority for the city. Number 5, necessity to facilitate to the facility of a waterfront location in the case of a functionally dependent facility. Property is not located along a waterfront location. Number 6, availability of alternate locations not subject to flooding or erosion damage for the proposed use. The availability is somewhat limited for heavy industrial zone properties, though nothing prevents one from making application to rezone property in the attempt to find more suitable location outside of the special flood hazard area. Next one, compatibility of the proposed use with the existing anticipated development. The proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area, as most of the adjacent properties are zoned heavy industrial. Next is relationship of the proposed use to the comprehensive plan and floodplain management programs for the area. The proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan, but is not compatible with the floodplain management program. Next is safety of access to the property in times of flood or ordinary and emergency vehicles. The road, Doug Bernard Parkway, gives access to the property, is not located within a special flood hazard area. Therefore, it is anticipated that there will be no issues obtaining access in times of any flooding. Next one, next to the last. The expected heights, velocity, duration, rate of rise, and sediment transport of floodwaters and effects of wave action, if applicable, expected on the site. The proposed development will provide a no-rise certification along with more than adequate facilities for stormwater detention to ensure that height, velocity, duration, rate of rise, and sediment transport are mitigated to prevent impacts to the floodplain further downstream. There is no anticipated wave action to be considered in this request. And the last one, cost of providing government services during and after flood conditions, including maintenance and repair of public utilities, facilities such as sewer, gas, electric, and water systems, streets and bridges. It is anticipated that the cost of providing governmental services during and after a flood conditions will be minimal, as the proposed development will meet all the city's regulations mitigating potential damage created by flooding. And at the time of completion of the report, no inquiries have been received by staff concerning their application. And that concludes staff's report.
Thank you, Mr. Kepner. Well, at this time, if the applicant or a representative for this application is present, we'll ask you to address the podium over here. And on your way up there, if you wouldn't mind when you get there, just please state your name and your address for the record, and that you have the authority to speak on behalf of this application.
My name is Bob Zock. My address is 11720 Amber Park Drive in Alpharetta, Georgia. I'm with Kimley Horn, the civil engineer on the project, and I represent the applicant.
Thank you. You have 10 minutes to go ahead and add anything you'd like.
Thank you. I think pulling up a presentation. Thank you, Brian, for your intro. If we can go, I don't know if we, thank you. Move into just discussing the site location. I know Brian hinted at this, but just to give a little more color, in a view of the surrounding area, you can see that the property that's along Douglas Bernard Parkway is surrounded by these adjacent floodplain areas. To the east, you can see those regional stormwater facilities. To the north and south are undeveloped parcels, also in wetland and floodplain areas. And to the west is an abandoned residential area. This is a zoomed-in view of what the site currently looks like as of January. This is the old brick facility that's been demolished, and now what remains is just the kind of the slabs and some old parking remnants, some pavement. So the main point that we're here for is to discuss the floodplain variance. So any impact to the floodplain is requiring this variance. This site plan shows what we've been working towards, which is to minimize the impact of the floodplains. The green and the blue on the screen represent the wetlands and floodplain that's existing, and the yellow portions are the portions of floodplain that we're planning to impact. So you can see there are kind of fingers that are protruding into the center of the site. These are the areas that we're proposing to impact. You can also notice some other fingers of green and blue on the site that we're avoiding. So this is maybe several iterations down the line of us attempting to minimize those impacts by moving parking, moving access points, et cetera. In order to meet the floodplain ordinance and not disturb any floodplain, we are not able to meet other portions of the code, in terms of stormwater. The other sections of the floodplain ordinance, Brian had mentioned trying to maintain a finished floor elevation 3 feet above the floodplain elevation. So in order to do that, we are filling on top of whatever is the site's existing elevation in order to install stormwater management ponds and pipes. It also raises the site. So in all of those yellow areas, the site is raised in comparison to the existing grade in order to install those stormwater management, BMPs, those practices that meet the city's code. As we had mentioned, the city staff issued a report that recommends approval. I am here with the development team, ready to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. You said your name was Bob?
Bob, yes.
Thank you, Bob. At this time, do we have anyone in opposition to the application that would like to speak? All right, seeing none. Hey, Bob, if you wouldn't mind just staying pretty close, they may have some questions for you. I'll turn it over to the board for any questions. Seeing none at this time, why don't we get staff's recommendation?
All right, the Planning and Development staff recommends approval of this variance request as is consistent with Section 8-4. As is consistent with Section 8-1-32 of the Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance of Augusta, Georgia, as amended with the following conditions. There are 4. The first condition is to allow for a 40,000 cubic square feet of fill material to be placed within the special flood hazard area. Number 2 is the development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia, including the flood prevention ordinance at the time of development. Number 3, that the proposed development shall include the submitted no-rise certification for the property as part of the submittal of the site plan review process. And I believe they've already provided and secured that. And the final condition of this item is approval of a variance request does not constitute approval of the conceptual site plan submitted with this application. The proposed development shall obtain site plan approval in compliance with site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia, prior to construction commencing on the property, and that concludes staff's recommendation.
Thank you. Bob, as a representative, are you agreeable to those 4 conditions as stated? Thank you very much, noting that he's affirmative. I'll entertain any motions.
You have Board Member Brigham.
I'm sorry, Mr. Brigham, you have a question.
Yes, Mr. Socks, I got one question. Out of curiosity, what kind of fill material, where's the fill material coming from?
It's all structural fill material that'll be trucked in. It needs to meet certain specifications that the geotech engineer specifies in order to support pavement, structural fill for the building slabs. So I can't say the exact quarry or the plant that it would be coming from, but it would have to be good fill dirt as determined by the site's geotechnical engineer.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we approve.
Second.
All right, is that a motion to approve with the conditions as
With
stated?
conditions.
All right, so we've got a motion from Mr. Brigham and a second from Mrs. Williams. All in favor of approving the motion as stated, show of hands. Seeing none in opposition, thank you, Mr. Fox. Sox. Thank you very much. You'll have your letters in the mail. You're welcome. Mr. Kevin, you want to take us to the next one?
It'd be helpful to turn on the mic. Next item on the agenda is BZA 25-24. This is a petition by Rosetta Hickson requesting a variance from Section 8-4 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to increase the maximum accessory building area from 500 square feet to 600 square feet on a property located at 3721 Rio Ridge Drive. This property is zone R1, and staff will present.
Good afternoon. I'm Ashley Catterton, Development Services Administrator, and this variance request involves a 0.35 acre property that's zoned R1 single family residential, and it's situated within the Rain Tree subdivision. This applicant is seeking a variance to allow for the construction of a 600 square foot detached garage for vehicles and additional storage as an accessory building. The findings for this report, the 0.35 acre property is typical in size and shape for the lots that are within the Rain Tree subdivision. Currently, there is no garage located on this property. Based off the zoning ordinance, it states that the maximum total gross floor area of all accessory buildings on the lot shall be based on the area of the lot upon which they are located, and for lots of 10,000 square feet or larger, the maximum size is greater of 500 square feet or 3% of the lot, whichever is greater. Therefore, the following for this property will apply. For the total square footage of 0.35 acres, that calculates to 15,246 square feet. This allows for a maximum total gross building floor area of 500 square feet for the accessory buildings for the property. The proposed detached garage increases the accessory building floor area to 600 square feet, exceeding the maximum gross accessory building floor area by approximately 20%. According to the submitted site plan, the proposed detached garage will be constructed at the rear of the property, and this will be located behind the main residence, and it will be partially obscured by the house from the road. Approval of this request would not exceed the maximum 30% allowable lot coverage for a single-family residential zoning. And according to the submitted site plan, the proposed detached garage will be able to meet the side yard and rear yard setbacks for the accessory buildings. The subject property is not located within any wetlands or any special flood hazard areas. And at the time of completion of this report, there were no inquiries that were received by staff. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Catterton. If the applicant is present, would you mind? We'll go ahead and take you at the podium up here. And if you would, please just state your name and address for the record, and you will have 10 minutes to add anything you'd like.
Hi, I'm Rosetta Marshall Hickson at 3721 Rio Ridge Drive in Hepzibah, Georgia.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You may proceed. Anything you'd like to add?
There's nothing that I.
Okay, that's fine. If you'll hang tight right there for me, if you don't mind. Are there any in opposition to the application today present? Seeing none, we did not receive any, correct, at the time of the application? Great. I'll open it up to the board here to ask any questions. Mr. Trulock would like to hear the staff recommendations, please.
All right, Planning and Development staff recommends denial of the variance request as it does not meet all the criteria established in Section 33 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance for Augusta, Georgia as amended. Should the board approve the applicant's request, staff recommends the following conditions. And there are two. The first is to allow for the installation of a 600 square foot accessory building on the property. The second is that the applicant acknowledges Section 8-4F of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, which outlines the following. Accessory buildings shall not be designed and used for residential purposes. Accessory buildings shall not contain sleeping or cooking facilities. Accessory buildings may not be used to conduct home occupations or serve as home offices. And finally, in no case may accessory buildings have a separate electrical service unless they come back and apply separately for the such requests. And that concludes staff's recommendation.
Thank you, Kevin.
Mrs. Hickson, are you comfortable with those conditions? Should we approve the request? Are you familiar, you understand what they're saying?
So the last thing he said was if I want to put any electricity in the building, I'd have to come back and.
It would have to be something that they consider separate.
So meaning that you can have power to the building, you can't have a separate power meter.
Extend it from the home if you need to.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You're okay?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve
I'll second.
All right, looks like I have a motion.
with staff's recommendations.
Thank you. I have a motion from Ms. Williams, and I believe it was seconded by Ms. Williams. Is that right? All right, we got a Williams thing. All right. All in favor of approving this with the staff recommendation, show of hands. Any opposition? Seeing none. Ms. Hickson, you have your approval, and the letter will be in the mail shortly.
Thank
you
you
for coming in.
All right.
Mr. Kevin, I think we'll take the next one.
All right, next item on the agenda is number 5 is BZA 25-25. This is a petition by Berkey Air on behalf of Rex Augusta LLC requesting a variance from Section 20-4 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to reduce the side setback from the required 10 feet to 3.5 feet on a property located at 303 and 315 Green Street. This property is zoned professional office, and staff will present.
Amanda Cruz, Planner 1. This variance request involves a 0.39 acre property located approximately 43 feet from the intersection of Green Street and 3rd Street. The property is currently zoned P1 Professional Office and situated in the historic Old Town District. According to the Augusta Richmond County Tax Assessor's Office records, the apartment and duplex buildings were constructed in 1916 and 1926 respectively. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the required side setback to subdivide existing parcels into 2 lots. Property has approximately 127.92 feet of frontage along Green Street and a depth of approximately 132.57 feet. The former 2 parcels were recently combined and officially recorded on 10/25/2019, Plat Book 13, page 650. At 0.39 acres, the parcel is larger than the median lot size within the block area, which is approximately 0.31 acres. Section 20-4 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance requires a minimum side yard setback of 10 feet for all structures located in the P1 zone. No new construction or building additions have been proposed at this time. The property is located in the historic Old Town District. Staff observed numerous structural encroachments in the required front, side, and rear yards in the immediate area. At the time of completion of this report, staff have not received any inquiries from the public concerning this application. And that concludes staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. If the applicant is present, we'd ask that you address the podium, please. All right, I don't see the applicant present. Do we have any objectors? Seeing none, I'll open it up to the board for questions.
I make a motion to postpone the application due to the fact the applicant is not here.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Trulock, and I believe it was a second from Mr. Brigham. All in favor of postponing to next month? Show of hands. Seeing no opposition, we'll postpone this to next month. Thank you, Ms. Cruz. All right, Kevin, we'll take the next one.
Next item is BZA 2526. This is a petition by Robert S. Nguyen requesting a variance from Section 8-8B and Section 8-8C of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to reduce the required side setback from 10 feet to 4 feet and to reduce the required rear setback from 40 feet to 20 feet on the property located at 3028 Lake Forest Drive. This property is zone R1, and staff will present.
Amanda Cruz, Planner 1. This request involves a 0.41 acre tract located at 3028 Lake Forest Drive. The property is zoned R1, one-family residential, and is situated in the Forest Hills Fox Spring Heights neighborhood. The applicant seeks two variances, one to reduce the rear yard setback from 40 feet to 20 feet, and one to reduce the side yard setback from 10 feet to 4 feet to allow for the addition of a master bedroom. The lot is approximately 90 feet wide and 200 feet deep, which is the average lot size of the existing property zoned R1 in the Forest Hills Fox Spring Heights neighborhood. Section 8-8C of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance requires a rear yard setback of 20% of the lot depth, but such setback need not exceed 50 feet. The proposed master suite would extend into the rear yard setback of 40 feet, resulting in a 20-foot setback. This master suite addition will encroach 20 feet into that rear yard setback, which would be an approximate 50% reduction. Section 8-8B3 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance requires two side yard setbacks, each having a width of not less than 10 feet. The proposed master suite would extend into the required side yard setback of 10 feet, resulting in a 4-foot setback. This addition would encroach 6 feet into that required yard setback, which would be an approximate 250% reduction. Approval of this request would not exceed the maximum 30% allowable lot coverage of the property. And at the time of completion of this report, no inquiries were received by staff concerning this variance application, and that concludes staff presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. If the applicant's present, we'll ask that you address the podium over here. And if you will, for the record, state your name and address.
Robert Nguyen, 3028 Lake Forest Drive.
Thank you, sir. You have 10 minutes to add anything you'd like.
Nothing to add. Thorough presentation. Thank you.
All right. If you wouldn't mind hanging out just in case we have questions, I'll open it up to the board. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I'm sorry. Are there any objectors present? Seeing none, I'll open it up to the board. Staff recommendation? Go ahead and have a staff recommendation, please.
Okay, Planning and Development staff recommends denial of the variance request as it does not meet the criteria for granting variances established in Section 33 of Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance as amended. Should the board move to approve the applicant's request, staff recommends the following condition. It's just one. To allow for a minimum 20-foot rear setback and a minimum 4-foot side yard setback on the property to allow for the addition of a master suite, and that concludes staff's recommendation.
Mr. Nguyen, are you comfortable with the conditions? Should the board approve?
Ma'am.
I recommend approval with staff's recommendation.
I'll say.
All right, we got a motion and a second motion from Ms. Williams and second from, yes, sure. All in favor of approval with the staff's recommendations? Show of hands. Seeing no objections, you have your approval.
Thank you.
We'll have it in the mail for you shortly. All right, Kevin, if you don't mind.
All right. The next item is BZA 2527, this is a petition by Elizabeth McGee on behalf of William and Lucy Knack, requesting a variance from sections 8-4, 8-4E, and 8-4F of the comprehensive zoning ordinance to increase the height of an accessory building from 1 story and 18 feet to 2 stories and 22 feet, to increase the maximum accessory building area from 1,006 square feet to 1,362 square feet, and to allow for the residential use of a accessory building to replace a storm damage pre-zoning ordinance existing cottage on the property located at 2644 Henry Street, and staff will